when you see an Indonesian warship, you must see 3 numbers on its hull. But what does it mean? Because unlike some European nations who put a letter in front of their vessels to categorize its role, the Indonesian Navy doesn't use this system. You may be curious about this, especially if you're not from Indonesia. So, in today's video, I will break it down and explain it to you all. Stay tuned. First thing first, the Indonesian Navy vessel is called Kapal Republik Indonesia or KRI for short. They are named after national heroes, traditional weapons, cities, locations, and visas, and has 3-digit pena number consisting of the role of the vessel and its class. Now let's take a look at these numbers one by one, starting from the lowest. Although currently, the Indonesian Navy doesn't have any vessel with a prefix number 1, I strongly believe this number is reserved for aircraft carrier or any flat-top vessels if one day the Indonesian Navy has one or two. And as we discussed before, the names that will be used are names of maritime kingdoms in Indonesia in the past, such as Majapahit, Sriwijaya, Demak, and Samudra Pasai. Also, we cannot rule out the possibility of using the names of Indonesian presidents like the US Navy does with their carriers too. The Indonesian Navy also doesn't have vessels with prefix number 2. However, in the past, they had a vessel with a pena number 201 in a cruiser named R.I. Irian. So I assume the prefix number 2 is reserved for warships such as battleships, cruisers, and maybe including destroyers. Unfortunately, only a small amount of documentation remains from the biggest warship ever owned by the Indonesian Navy. R.I. Irian was a 16,000 tons Sverdlov-class cruiser bought from the USSR back in 1962. She was bought to support the Trikora operation to retake West Papua from the Dutch. The involvement of R.I. Irian in the conflict itself is unclear. Then when the regime changed from a pro-Soviet government to the Western one, R.I. Irian was sold for scrap to Taiwan in 1972. Moving on, Navy vessels with prefix number 3 are vessels with combatant roles, including frigates, corvettes, and perhaps also destroyers. Vessels with this role are named after Indonesia's national heroes. For example, the Sigma-class frigate with pena number 331, named after Navy Admiral Raden Edi Marta Dinata, and the F-2000 corvette with pena number 357, named after military leader during the Indonesian National Revolution, Sutomo. Soon, when the Arrowhead and Frame frigate are ready and enter service, you can bet that they will also be named after national heroes too. Next are vessels with prefix number 4. This number is reserved for the Navy Submarine Force, and they are named after weapons from Wayang mythology, a Javanese traditional form of puppet theater play. For example, the latest submarine KRI Alugoro is named after a type of mace used by a character named Baladewa. Currently, the Indonesian Navy has 4 submarines with pena number 401, 403, 404, and 405. But at one point in the past, they had a total of 12 submarines in operation, become one of the largest, if not the largest submarine operator in the Southern Hemisphere. Still dreaming, Indonesia will have a submarine force that big again one day. And one step forward to achieve that is by building the Scorpion-class submarine. Halfway through our list, vessels with prefix number 5 are for the amphibious forces. This includes LPD and LST. And they are named after a port city for the LPDs and a bay for the LSTs. For example, LPD KRI Surabaya 591 is named after a city of Surabaya in East Java, and LST KRI Teluk Kupang 519 is named after a bay in the city of Kupang. Moving on to vessels with prefix number 6 is for the fast attack craft, or locally we call it kapal cepat rudal or KCR. They are named after traditional weapons from Indonesian regions. For example, the Trimaran fast attack craft KRI Golok 688 is a traditional weapon from the Betawi culture in Jakarta, and the 60-meter fast attack craft KRI Kerambit 627 is a traditional weapon from Minangkabau, West Sumatra. Continuing to the prefix number 7 is for mine countermeasure vessels, and it's named after small islands in Indonesia. For example, the newest MCM vessels ordered from Germany, KRI Pulau Fani and KRI Pulau Vanildo, are 2 islands located in West Papua Province. Next, the prefix number 8 is for patrol vessels and named after local fishes. For example, the PC-60 patrol craft KRI Dorang 874 and KRI Bawal 875 are named after silver pomfret and pomfret fish respectively. Although it's not decided yet, I guess the two OPVs ordered from PTDRU will fall under this category too. Lastly, the Indonesian Navy vessels with the prefix number 9 are for support vessel. This includes the hospital ship, replenishment oiler, troop transport, and hydrographic and oceanographic research vessel. For the hospital ship, they are named after a national hero with a profession as a doctor. For example, KRI Dr. Wahidin Sudirohusodo 991. The replenishment oiler is named after oil-producing cities in Indonesia. For example, KRI Tarakan 905. And the research vessel is named after a star. For example, KRI Rigel 933. Besides some vessels I mentioned earlier, the Indonesian Navy also operates ships without a PENA number. These are tall ships used to train new cadets. The most famous one is KRI Dewa Ruchi. She is a 58-meter barkentine sail ship commissioned in 1953. If I'm not mistaken, she is the only Indonesian Navy ship that has sailed around the world not once but twice, visited the most cities among other Navy ships, and became Indonesia's ambassador of the sea. She is still active today, but her journey is limited to Indonesian port cities only. Meanwhile, for international voyage, she is succeeded by KRI Bimasuci, a bark-type sailing ship made by Freri Shipyard in Vigo, Spain. She is twice as long as Dewa Ruchi and can carry twice as many crew and cadets. In summary, the Indonesian Navy ship's role is categorized by its prefix number. Prefix number 1 is currently empty, but presumably reserved for flat-top vessels like aircraft carriers and LHD. Prefix number 2 is also empty, but Indonesia had a cruiser with a PENA number 201. Prefix number 3 is for combatant vessels like frigates, corvettes, and maybe destroyers too. Prefix number 4 is for submarine force. Prefix number 5 is for amphibious fleets like LPDs and LSTs. Prefix number 6 is for fast attack craft. Prefix number 7 is for mine countermeasure vessels. Prefix number 8 is for patrol vessels. And prefix number 9 is for support vessels like hospital ship, replenishment oiler, troop transport, and hydrographic and oceanographic research vessel. And that's it for today. A quick guide to Indonesian Navy PENA numbers. Next time, when we discuss the Indonesian Navy fleet again, you can at least guess the role of the ships by only looking at its PENA number. How does your country's Navy categorize their warship? Share with us in the comment section below. Thank you for watching everyone. I'll see you in the next one.